Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're looking at something that is literally flipping the script on how we create augmented reality. We are talking about treating AI not just as some glorified chatbot, but as an insanely powerful co-developer for Snap Spectacles. Seriously, if you've ever felt totally bogged down by the sheer technical friction of AR development, this is going to be an absolute game changer. Oh, and definitely stick around until the very end because I'm going to let you in on a little hidden secret tucked inside the developer docs, a way to actually get your hands on unreleased physical specs hardware.
I mean, think about it. What if an AI could literally build your entire AR world? We all know AR development has traditionally been this massive, multidisciplinary mountain you have to climb. You got to know 3D modeling, coding, audio design, UX, the whole shebang. But we're finally shifting away from that lonely, solitary grind. Now it's more like a thrilling adventure where you've got a tireless AI co-pilot right there in the trenches with you, ready to generate assets, write code, and snap scenes together on command.
Okay, so let's dive right into this. The engine driving this whole magic trick is called CLAD. That stands for Closed Loop Agentic Development. Basically, it's a workflow where AI agents aren't just sitting there giving you advice, they actually plan, build, verify, and iterate on interactive AR experiences directly inside Lens Studio. It essentially takes all that dense, intimidating technical documentation and turns it into a totally fluid, empowered, creative process. So here's our roadmap for today's explainer. 1. Enter the AI co-developer. 2. Bridging AI and Lens Studio. 3. The CLAD skill arsenal. 4. Testing and debugging. And 5. Unlocking SPCS hardware. Let's get into it. Part 1. Enter the AI co-developer. Time to meet your new partner in crime. The beautiful thing about CLAD is that it doesn't force you into some rigid one-size-fits-all box. It gives you different levels of autonomy based entirely on what you actually need in that moment. On one hand, you have the Specs Experience Builder. This is your fully automatic end-to-end agent. You toss it a prompt and it just runs with it, planning the project, generating 3D meshes, scripting, building UI, even making the music. It's a one-shot powerhouse. But if you're like me, and sometimes you want more control, there's the do-it-yourself, a la carte approach. Say you have a project and just need help making a planet orbit a sun. You can trigger that one specific skill seamlessly, without the AI taking over the whole steering wheel. Moving on to Part 2, Bridging AI and Lens Studio, getting the technical setup out of the way. Before your new co-developer can actually start building, we need to construct a secure, stable bridge between the AI's brain and your Lens Studio workspace. The absolute key here is the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. I like to think of MCP as the nervous system. Lens Studio is the physical body where the AR is being built, and your AI, whether you're using Cursor, Claude Code, Codex, or VS Code, is the brain. MCP is the standard that securely connects the two, letting your external IDE reach right in and physically manipulate the Lens Studio environment. Setting this up is surprisingly a breeze, and it's practically the exact same workflow no matter what IDE you prefer. First, and actually this is crucial, you have to have Lens Studio open with your project loaded. Then, you just fire up the MCP server right inside Lens Studio's AI Assistant menu. Second step, hit Copy MCP config. And third, just paste that configuration straight into your IDE or terminal. Boom, the nervous system is live and you're connected. All right, Part 3, the CLAD skill arsenal. Now we open up the massive toolbox. This is where things get genuinely wild. I mean, just look at the sheer volume of capabilities your AI possesses now. We are talking rapid-fire creation. Need to lay out an environment? Boom, /scene construction. Missing some 3D models? /build mesh has you covered. Need complex logic but hate coding? /script author literally writes compile-checked TypeScript for you. It even handles the really complex specs features. /specs interaction recipes will wire up pinch-to-grab hand-tracking gestures flawlessly. Custom shaders, UI, typography, it's literally like having a whole studio full of specialized developers right at your fingertips. But I really want to slow down for a second and highlight two absolute standouts from this arsenal. For 3D models, CLAD taps into Snap's hosted Specs Text-to-3D API. This means zero local dependencies, no API keys you have to manage yourself, and it spits out incredibly high-fidelity static props just from your text prompts. And then there's /build music. Guys, this generates entirely original, license-clean music and sound effects completely offline. You literally never have to scour the web for royalty-free audio ever again. Which brings us to Part 4,
testing, debugging, and Leaf. Because hey, every co-developer makes mistakes.
Yeah, AI is definitely no exception to making mistakes. Sometimes it might hallucinate a variable or just decide it's a fantastic idea to stick a 3D object completely inside a solid wall. So here's your golden rule of thumb for testing. While you're actively building and iterating, use /verify preview. This is a super quick check where the AI recompiles the code, grabs the running preview, and basically says, hey, did my last edit actually work? It keeps things lean. But once your interaction is perfect and you want to lock it in for good, use the Leaf Live Lens Tester. This writes a persistent, automated, rerunnable test suite so future AI edits can't silently break that awesome feature you just finished. And look, if your AI suddenly ghosts you and stops talking to Lens Studio, here's a really quick troubleshooting checklist. First, make sure Lens Studio is properly configured for specs. Next, double-check that the MCP server window explicitly says running. Third, make sure your IDE hasn't randomly dropped the connection. And finally, just pop into your Lens Studio preferences and ensure the AI Assistant V2 and Core Chat Tools plugins are installed and enabled. That little checklist fixes like 99% of connection hiccups.
All right, part 5, unlocking real specs hardware, the Copilot's journey.
So, the Copilot's journey has finally brought us to the hidden treasure. A developer actually posted on the Spectacles subreddit recently saying, after I got my invite, I decided it is no longer needed to gatekeep this. You see, careful readers going through the Lens Studio 5.22 CLAD documentation noticed a little something hidden in there. Snap quietly tucked an application link deep in the docs. If you actually develop a specs app using CLAD, you can apply to test it on a real, completely unreleased specs device for an entire day. It's this brilliant insider Easter egg specifically rewarding developers who are reading the documentation and pushing the tech to its limits.
Right now, this in-person, day-long device access is available in 4 major hubs: Los Angeles, London, Amsterdam, and Vienna. So if you're anywhere near one of those cities, the technical barriers are completely gone. The software is free, the AI is sitting there acting as your senior developer, and Snap is quite literally handing you the hardware to test on. Which leads us perfectly to our final thought. The friction of AR creation has just evaporated. It's gone. With an AI ready and waiting to generate your meshes, write your TypeScript, and compose your soundtracks, what world are you going to create first? Seriously, go boot up Lens Studio, kickstart that MCP server, and find out. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on this explainer. I absolutely cannot wait to see what you build.